What is liberalism? Our source for this video is the book Liberalism by Ludwig von Mises, The History of Liberalism. But when you ask Westerners themselves this question, most of them point to one thing, a type of government called liberalism. They believe that all Western progress happened because Western governments moved toward liberal democracy. But what exactly is this model of government and what logic does it follow? Let's first give a very brief history and then move on to the logic and structure of liberalism. In the 16th and 17th centuries, European governments followed a system known as mercantilism. As soon as liberalism was implemented in England, the United States, and later Europe, it created such extraordinary progress in these countries that nothing like it had ever been seen before in history. This progress was so dramatic that many conservatives became frightened and began opposing liberalism. As a result, anti-liberal movements quickly emerged across Europe, which caused the lifespan of true liberalism in Europe to be very short. One of these movements was communism. In the United States, however, there was no break on liberal ideas. In the early 19th century, America was a newly independent country with virtually no global power. Yet suddenly, by the early 20th century, it had become one of the most powerful countries in the world, both economically and militarily, and by the end of the 20th century, it had turned into the single, unquestioned global superpower. Many believe the only reason for America's rapid and unusual rise was that, unlike Europe, no one restrained liberalism there, allowing it to show its final results. Von Mises believed that liberalism was never fully implemented anywhere, but even the partial and incomplete way it was applied in Europe and America was enough to completely change the face of the earth and launch a magnificent period of economic flourishing. For example, if you look at the life of a worker in the early 20th century, you'll see that the life of a worker in industrial countries like the United States, on the eve of World War I, was better and more comfortable than the life of a Venetian nobleman 200 years earlier. And importantly, this good life was for everyone, not just a thin layer of society. Now that, with this long introduction, we understand how important liberalism is and why Westerners value it so highly. Let's see what liberal ideas actually are and what logic lies behind them. The political foundations of liberalism. A society in which liberal principles are implemented is called a capitalist society. Liberals believe that the fact that, over the past 200 years, humans have moved from rural life, traveling by horse and mule, to traveling by automobile, going into space, and landing on the moon is all because of capitalism. And contrary to the belief of many who argue that capitalism has only benefited the wealthy, most of these comforts and conveniences were actually available to the general public. First, let's see what capitalism means. Capital refers to the machinery used to produce other goods. In other words, machines of production are capital. Capitalists believe that ownership of the machinery used for production must be private. Socialists, on the other hand, believe that production machinery and factories should be publicly owned, and only the final products should be privately owned. For example, imagine a mobile phone. Both socialists and capitalists agree that ownership of the phone itself should be private, but they differ when it comes to the factory and machinery that produce the phone. Socialists believe factories and production machinery should be state-owned and publicly owned, while capitalists believe the state should never engage in production at all, and that all production machinery and factories should be privately owned. This is the most important principle of liberalism, private ownership of the means of production. All other liberal principles are derived from this foundational idea. But liberalism is not only about private ownership of the means of production. Liberalism holds that all stages of production, pricing, distribution, and sales, must be entirely private, and that the state should not interfere in any part of the economy under any circumstances. Liberals believe that any government intervention in the economy only makes things worse. At the same time, liberalism means freedom. That's why its opponents try to avoid using the word as much as possible, because the word freedom carries a positive meaning. Instead, they use the term capitalist society, presenting the image of a ruthless capitalist who, as communists claim, sucks the blood of workers. In reality, capitalism benefits the masses far more, and if it has a frightening side, that fear should actually be directed toward the wealthy. Liberals believe that the fact we now instinctively value freedom is itself a result of liberalism. Before the rise of liberalism, Most people not only did not see servitude as wrong, but sometimes even praised it. At times, even servants and slaves themselves did not consider freedom to be their right. Yet the way liberals caused servitude to disappear and freedom to take its place was quite interesting. Thanks for tuning in to Historolog. I hope you enjoyed the video as much as I enjoyed creating it. Smash that like button and subscribe so you don't miss any further videos.